They never found my boots. Just one glove, left-hand side, fingers curled like it tried to grab something in the dark. The men from the ranger station said I probably wandered too far, lost track of the trail. Maybe slipped, hit my head. Maybe a bear. Maybe hypothermia. That's the version they gave my niece. But I know what happened, even if the words I have aren't quite right. I still see it sometimes, in the knot of wood on the shed door, in the way ivy claws its way out my window like it's trying to remember my face. The woods don't forget. They just wait. I didn't go out there for anything heroic. No sacred mission. No ghost stories. Just mushrooms. The late kind, the ones that sprout only after the third frost, when the ground cracks and exhales the last of its warmth. I'd hunted them every October for 20 years. Every year, deeper. Every year, stranger. The forest near Black Hollow doesn't like people much. It pulls in, clenches up, especially in the cold. You feel watched, but not by anything with eyes. It's more like the forest itself thinks. I crossed Dead Creek around 8 that morning. Everything after that hour feels smeared. Like remembering a dream you're not sure you had. But I do remember the canopy, thicker than usual, the sky leaking light in skinny blue veins through the black mesh of branches. The air smelled like burnt leaves and something damp and sour beneath it, like old meat buried in moss. No wind, not even a breeze. Just the distant ticking of twigs breaking somewhere behind me, one at a time, deliberate. I told myself it was a squirrel. Or a deer. Or my own damn paranoia. I kept walking. The silence felt too big. Not peaceful, vacant. Like sound itself didn't want to linger there. Even the leaves underfoot muffled wrong, like the ground had swallowed their crispness. When I finally found the first mushroom, it was bent sideways, as if reaching away from something. Its cap was pale and bruised, veins spreading underneath in a web I'd never seen before. I squatted to cut it, but the knife felt heavy in my hand. My fingers didn't want to close around it. That's when I heard it. The whisper. Just one word at first, caught in the flick of a branch like wind passing through a throat. Come. I stood up too fast, and the tree shifted. Not moved, shifted. Like they inhaled when I did, branches tightening overhead until the light blinked out completely. My breath fogged. I could smell my own fear. Something primal in me screamed to turn around, to run, but the trail was gone. No markers, no broken twigs. Just trees. Thousands of them. Breathing. The whisper came again. This time, it said my name. I don't remember deciding to keep going. My legs just moved, like following a thread that tugged with every breath. I wasn't cold anymore. I wasn't anything. Just moving forward, deeper into the green-black throat of something that felt far older than the dirt beneath it. I passed a tree with a long vertical scar down its bark. A scar shaped like a mouth. And I swear to God, it smiled. I must have walked for hours. Time folded in on itself, thick and sticky like sap. My watch had stopped, both hands frozen at 11:43. I had no signal. No compass. Just the weight of the forest pressing tighter with every step, the canopy squeezing out the light until the path was painted in shadow and something wrong in the air. The ground had changed. Softer, wet. It no longer crunched, it squished, like walking on lungs. I started hearing the whispers more clearly, in short gasps behind my back, in the hush of my boot against the earth. But they weren't just whispers anymore, they were thoughts. My thoughts. Spoken in my voice, but not mine. Not entirely. Don't go back. There's nothing left there. You belong here. Let the bones rest. Breathe with us. I tried shouting once. Just to hear my own voice, to cut through the murk. But it didn't echo. It didn't even carry. It just fell, heavy and wet, like meat dropped in a cellar. I remember my throat hurting after, raw and useless. Then came the clearing. I didn't see it, it saw me. The trees widened like curtains parting, revealing something that should not exist. Not a meadow, not a pond. just an opening where the air shimmered with heat, though the cold still bit my skin. In the center was a tree. No leaves, no branches, just veins, black and pulsing, running up its pale white trunk like arteries. It beat. I could see it, feel it, hear it, and something was hanging from it. At first, I thought it was moss. Long strands of it, swaying in a breeze I couldn't feel. But then I saw the fingers. Hands. Legs. Dozens of them. Maybe more. All tangled, fused into the bark like half-digested prey. Their faces were blurred, like they'd been pressed too long into wet paper. Some had open mouths. Some had none. One of them looked like me. I turned to run. I swear I did. But my feet wouldn't move. The roots had crept up, wrapped around my boots like fingers. The forest was holding me. And the breathing, God, the breathing, it was all around me, rhythmic and endless, like I was inside the ribcage of something ancient, something cursed and starving. I don't know how long I stood there. Long enough to forget my name. Long enough to forget why I ever came. I felt something trickle from my ear. Blood. Or sap. Or both. And still the whispers came, layered now, a chorus of me. Saying things I hadn't said yet. Regretting things I didn't remember doing. And then the tree opened its eye. It wasn't a wound. It wasn't bark. It was an eye, wet, human, with a pupil that looked like the night sky. It looked at me. Through me. And I felt myself unravel. I woke up on the edge of Dead Creek. Face down in the mud. No boots. No knife. Just the left glove. My pack was torn open, mushrooms scattered and blackened like they'd been burned. My skin was cold, but something underneath it pulsed, not mine. Something that ticked, like the groan of branches in the wind. I made it home somehow. Weeks passed. But I never really left. The forest followed. It's in the knots of wood in my walls. In the soft breathing I hear from the attic at night. In the mirror, when my reflection hesitates just half a second too long before mimicking me. Sometimes I still hear the whispers. Not often. But when I do, they say things I haven't thought yet. Like you never left. Or we're still growing. Or breathe deeper. And every time I look out the window, the trees are closer than they were before. They're waiting. I think I left something behind in that clearing. Or maybe it left something inside me. It blinked. Once. Then again. A soft flutter in the fog, barely visible, like an eye struggling to stay open against sleep. I remember that moment more vividly than anything else from that night. The way the mist curled around me, the way my boots left no sound in the moss, and how everything felt, muffled, as if someone had thrown a blanket over the world. But the lantern, God, that cursed little light, it pulsed like a heartbeat, luring me deeper. I didn't even question it at first. I just followed. That was before I noticed the footprints. And before I heard her voice, my mother's voice, calling me from the darkness like she used to when dinner was ready. Except she'd been dead for over 7 years. I'd only meant to hike a bit. A solo weekend getaway, nothing fancy, just me, the woods, and my thoughts. I was staying in a rented cabin near the Blue Ridge Mountains, quiet and cheap, perfect for disconnecting. That morning, I packed a small bag, left a note for the ranger at the outpost, and followed the old trail upward. Weather was supposed to hold, but by early evening the fog rolled in like a tide. Thick, wet, and fast. Within minutes I couldn't see 10 feet ahead, and the woods lost all their color. Just grays and deeper grays. I should have turned back then. I should have. The trail vanished beneath my feet, swallowed by roots and stones, and I kept walking anyway, hoping to stumble onto something familiar. That's when I saw it. A flicker. Warm, yellow, distant. At first I thought it might be another hiker, or maybe a ranger on patrol. Relief cracked through my panic like sunlight through clouds. I followed, calling out once, maybe twice, but no answer came, just a whisper of wind through damp branches. The light didn't move quickly, but it was never still. It danced slowly forward, pausing only long enough for me to catch up. I don't know why I didn't find that strange. The deeper I went, the quieter everything became. No birds. No wind. Not even my own breathing seemed to echo anymore. Just the soft squish of mud and moss beneath my boots. Then, I looked down. That's when everything shifted. There were tracks in the mud. Human, boot-shaped. But wrong. Too long, too narrow, and angled in an unnatural way, like someone walking on broken ankles. I stopped and stared, realizing I wasn't leaving those prints. They were ahead of me, yet they matched my steps. Every turn I made, every stop, every inch forward, mirrored exactly. But they were not mine. I looked up. The lantern had stopped. Hovering in the fog like a floating eye, blinking once more. The hairs on my neck rose with a chill. Something shifted behind the trees. I spun around, trying to locate the sound, but there was nothing. Only fog. That's when I noticed something else. Shapes, like houses, ghostly silhouettes just beyond reach. Small, hunched cabins with slanted roofs and crooked chimneys. Each time I tried to get closer, they faded, dissolving into mist like reflections on water. I wasn't sure if they were real, or if the cold was getting to me. But then I heard her. "Sweetheart, dinner's ready." The voice came from just beyond the trees. Warm, familiar, coded in memory. My mother's voice. The voice I hadn't heard since the day she died in that fire. I froze. The fear that gripped me wasn't just horror, it was confusion, grief, disbelief all clashing like thunder inside my skull. My lips parted but no words came out. I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't scream. Only listen, as the fog pulsed with the echo of her voice again and again and again. I started walking faster, trying to catch up with the light. It was moving now, faster than before. Darting between the trees like it had somewhere urgent to be. My boots slipped on wet leaves, twigs cracked underfoot. Panic bubbled in my chest like acid. I wasn't thinking anymore, just chasing. Chasing that flicker like it held the answers to everything. My legs ached, lungs burned, but I didn't stop. Not until I saw the figure. It was standing just beneath the lantern, tall and thin, cloaked in a shadow so dense it seemed to drip. I couldn't see its face, but it had no head. Just the lantern. Floating where a skull should have been. It blinked again. And this time, I blinked with it. I don't remember falling. Only waking up. On my back, surrounded by twisted trees and a moon that looked wrong. Pale and misshapen, as if smeared across the sky. I sat up too fast and the world spun. My bag was gone. My phone, too. I stumbled forward and found myself on a narrow path I didn't recognize. The footprints were still there. Still not mine. I heard whispers now. Soft, like breath across my ear. Some of them sounded like my mom, others like voices I didn't recognize. Children, men, old women, each one saying the same thing. "Keep going. You're almost home." Home. What the hell did that mean? I followed. What else was I supposed to do? The path twisted and narrowed, the trees leaned closer together like they were eavesdropping. My hands shook, my knees buckled, but the light kept flickering, always just out of reach. At some point, I passed under a tree that had bones hanging from its branches. Small ones. Like fingers. I told myself they were just twigs, but deep down I knew they weren't. The nightmare deepened with every step. The cabins came back. Closer this time. Some had light in their windows, others were dark and cracked open like mouths. I reached out to one, touched the wall, and my fingers passed through it like smoke. And then it was gone. I began to suspect the fog wasn't hiding things. It was showing them. Showing me what I wasn't supposed to see. That's when I saw her. Not a memory. Not a ghost. My mother, standing at the doorway of one of those shacks, smiling. Her face half burned, but eyes kind. She opened her arms. "You're home now," she said. I wanted to run, but I couldn't. I didn't. The figure with the lantern was behind me again. I turned, and it blinked. Everything shifted. The forest melted. The trees twisted into walls. I was inside one of the cabins now, but the door was gone. The windows showed fog, endless and swirling. I banged on the wall, screamed until my throat tore. No sound escaped. I looked around, and saw dozens of lanterns on the floor. Some flickering. Some still. Each one glowing with a different pulse. A heartbeat. A memory. A scream. Mine joined them. I think I'm still here. Somewhere inside the fog. My body may be gone, but my memory, my fear, it lingers. Sometimes I see hikers pass through. I try to warn them. I scream without a voice. The lanterns blink at them. And they follow. Because that's what we do. We follow the light. Even if it leads us straight into the nightmare. Especially if it sounds like home. It was sometime after midnight when I felt it again, the smell. That awful, damp, earthy stench that clung to the roof of my mouth and seemed to pulse from the soil itself. I couldn't scream. I couldn't even breathe right. Just lay there in my sleeping bag, paralyzed, wide-eyed under a canopy of nylon, listening. The crickets had stopped an hour ago. The wind too. What replaced them was something far worse, that quiet, unholy kind of stillness that hums in your bones when you're no longer alone. I had zipped myself up all the way, yet the cold still found its way in, curling around my ankles, creeping up my spine. I knew I hadn't moved, but the zipper was down this time. Just enough to feel the air seep in. And I swear to you, swear on everything, I felt breath. Not mine. Not close. Right above me. That was night 4. Or maybe 5. It's hard to remember now. The first day had been beautiful. I'd driven out of Baltimore, left my phone behind on purpose, brought a printed trail map from some old Reddit forum, and smiled the whole goddamn way into West Virginia. I needed the woods, needed that freedom, air that didn't smell like hot garbage and car exhaust, stars I could actually see, silence that didn't come with sirens. I parked near an old forestry gate, packed light, and started following the red trail marker. The first few miles felt like magic. Birds chirped, leaves danced in golden shafts of light, and everything tasted clean. I had no doubt this would fix me. I even laughed to myself as I crossed a narrow stream and looked back at the printout in my hand. The trail twisted uphill, past moss-covered boulders, then curved again near a huge, dead tree that looked like a reaching hand. That was my first marker. But something was already wrong. I just didn't know it yet. That night, I pitched my tent near a small clearing. Stars hung heavy above, and for the first time in months, I felt still. I didn't dream. Or maybe I did, but whatever I saw was buried in that black forest haze. I woke to faint rustling, but chalked it up to deer. When I stepped out in the morning, I saw something strange. Around the tent, in the soft mud, were footprints. Barefoot. Thin. Slightly sunken. And wrong. The toes were too long. I stared for maybe a minute too long before stomping over them like a pissed-off child, pretending I hadn't seen what I saw. Forest people, I said to myself. Weirdos. Hippies. Locals playing a joke. I didn't laugh. I kept going, determined. I followed the map. The next landmark was supposed to be a rock shaped like a boot, and sure enough, I found it. Only when I checked the map again, the trail lines had shifted. The little red path now looped somewhere else entirely, like it had rewritten itself while folded in my back. I shook my head, blamed the bad print quality, and kept walking. But the trees began to feel denser. Closer. I passed that same dead tree from earlier, the one like a reaching hand, but from the wrong direction. My gut turned. I was sure I hadn't doubled back. The trail markers were different colors now. Green, then orange, then red again, but old, faded red. Like blood left out in the sun. By the third day, I stopped trusting the map altogether. I kept walking anyway. Voices started on the fourth night. It didn't begin with screams or whispers. Just my name. Clear. Calm. Said once, like a mother calling their child home. Alyssa. I froze. My blood turned thick. I whispered, hello, but no answer came. I didn't sleep much that night. I laid awake, clutching my knife like it could protect me from whatever had lungs enough to speak my name with no mouth I could see. Every night after that, I heard it. Always a bit closer. Always that same calm tone. And the stench, it followed me. It would creep into the tent after dark, just as my eyelids began to sag. Not rot. Not sewage. No, something far more specific. Like overturned graves. Like the underside of wet leaves hiding decay. My skin itched from it. I'd wake drenched in sweat, eyes burning, unable to tell if I'd dreamed or simply hallucinated. One morning I found handprints on the nylon of the tent. Thin. Like children's hands. Just too many fingers. I should have left. Should have turned around. But the trail had vanished. Completely. I'd walk for hours and see no path, only tree after tree in infinite repetition, as if the forest itself had grown bored of pretending to be real. I began marking trunks with my knife, small cuts to track my direction. But by dusk, those same marks were on trees I hadn't touched. Mocking me. Circling me. And then there was the river. On day 5, or maybe 6, I found it again. Only this time, it flowed uphill. I knelt, dipped my hand in. It was warm. Sticky. I drew back and saw brownish red streaking my fingers. It wasn't water. I fell back, heart hammering, and then, just behind me, laughter. Faint. High-pitched. Gone in a second. No one was there. I tried to scream, but my voice cracked. I whispered instead, please stop, to no one. That night, I dreamed of a woman walking the trail ahead of me. Same bag. Same boots. Same braid down her back. She moved fast. Didn't look back. The forest tried to slow her, roots curling to grab her ankles, branches clawing at her arms. But she kept walking. Into nothing. The trail crumbled away beneath her feet. She didn't fall, just disappeared. Her shape flattened like a shadow under moonlight, and the forest swallowed her whole. I woke choking, tasting dirt in my mouth. The zipper on my tent was wide open. The next morning, there were no birds. No bugs. Not even wind. I packed in silence. My fingernails were black with soil, though I hadn't touched the ground. My feet were blistered. Bleeding. I'd been walking barefoot. My boots were missing. My bag heavier than it should have been. Inside, my own map. The same one. Only the paper was rotting. The ink had shifted again. The trail now looped in a perfect circle. The title was gone. In its place, written in sharp, shaky print, welcome back. I fell to my knees. Later that day, I saw smoke. Or thought I did. I followed it, desperate. Screamed till my throat broke. I found a fire pit. Stones still warm. A shoe. Mine. Only, not burned. Melted. And next to it, a single Polaroid photo half buried in the ash. I pulled it out. My face. Eyes wide. Tent behind me. Forest in the background. But I never took that photo. No one had. And at the bottom, written in red marker, SHE doesn't know yet. I ran. No sense of direction. I didn't care. I ran until I collapsed, legs shaking, palms shredded by bark. When I opened my eyes, I was at the dead tree again. The one like a reaching hand. Only this time, the bark was a hand. Human fingers curled in wood. Nails, rotted. One of them moved when I blinked. I didn't scream. Just walked backward. Slow. Cold all over. Behind me, something crunched. A footstep. Not mine. I ran again. The sun refused to set, like the sky had forgotten how. It hovered in that cursed golden hour, stretching shadows too long, too thin. The trees grew faces, not full ones, but impressions, like screaming mouths just beneath the bark. I stopped counting the days. I stopped sleeping. Every night, the same smell. Every morning, more footprints around my back. Sometimes they danced. Sometimes they dragged. Sometimes they stopped inches from my head. I tried climbing a tree once. Stayed up there all night. Watched shapes move below. Heard my name from every direction. When I finally climbed down, my sleeping bag was gone. In its place, a pile of photos. All of me. In the tent. In the woods. Eating. Crying. Sleeping. Watching. In one, I wasn't alone. Something stood just behind me. Barefoot. Smiling. I lost my mind then. Now, I think I'm still out here. I think I've been walking in circles so long the trail grew bored of me. I found a new map this morning. Left on a stone. Perfectly dry. The trail is different again. Leads somewhere called the end. I laughed. I think I laughed. Maybe screamed. The air smells like dead things again. I keep hearing them whispering from the trees. They say, she's close now. They say, she almost remembers. And worst of all, they still say my name.